Hi again and welcome to another bonus video I created for you, again inspired by you, for you. And today we have such a fabulous question, one I think it's very important for formulating. And again, whether you knew it or not, it comes back to reconstructing oils. So there will be a little bit of that. And the question is like this. I have a question about substituting lemongrass for Melissa, as some should suggest, due to the expense of Melissa. So if you don't know, Melissa is a very expensive essential oil, and quite often it is suggested to replace it with lemongrass or another essential oil that is rich in citral. However, you should also pay attention because some Melissa essential oils are actually diluted or forged with lemongrass as well. So it's a very good question. You should be aware of that, and I'll tell you in a minute why that's done that way. So she goes on to say, I compared two species of lemongrass and Melissa. They have similar properties, but other than hydrocarbons and aldehydes being predominant components, I don't see a lot of similarities. Would you clarify, please? Yes, with great delight, Marva. So thank you for asking. And I think it's such an important question for the entire group, for everybody who is interested in formulating, is touching on several subjects. So first of all, your Melissa essential oils may be forged, and one of the ways to look at this is again looking at the chemistry of it. And if you have citral dominating, overwhelming the oil, and missing some of these little important parts from other chemical constituents, it might be just a lemongrass, which is actually far better than something synthetic being sold to you as Melissa. So at least it is an essential oil. However, you should take some time to find trustworthy suppliers. That is just trial and error, and if you can, you go there and see their still and talk to them. You will see a lot of people who distill and who have essential oils and sell them are wonderful people. They're very proud of what they share with you. All of them think they have the best essential oils, and in a way they do. So that will reassure you, their enthusiasm and love for this, that what they're selling is a true essential oil. So coming back to your question, when we look at Melissa, as you see, they come in different shapes and forms, but you do here with Melissa have very clear chemical components that dominate it. I don't know if you saw another bonus video I created on myrtle. It's far more complex because it has chemotypes that are various and accent not only different specific chemical components, but they are from different groups, so it makes the whole thing a bit more complex. With Melissa, it's a bit more straightforward. So I will just click on any of these. So let's take this one. So here we have a typical Melissa essential oil. It is distilled from the flowering top, and this will already tell you why it might be a little bit different than other Melissas. Melissa is a particular essential oil. It can give different chemistry if you distill it before it flowers, when it flowers, and after it flowers. It varies in the chemistry. So this is another thing you might want to look into, how essential oils are distilled and how that affects it. But I will not confuse you with that today. When you smell Melissa, you will often have the fresh lemony smell, and that comes from citral, which is actually the dominating component of lemongrass that we mentioned in the question. So just to remind you, in case you are not familiar with chemistry, and you also have a bonus chemistry PDF you can download to refresh your memory or to start being interested. So citral is a monoterpene aldehyde. It's this light green one. But the confusion with citral is that for many years they thought it was one component, and then suddenly, eureka, they found out that it actually has two isomers. Now, I will not confuse you with that. It just means that there's geranium and neural are actually citral. So with the newest research and newer GCMS reports, this detailed report of your essential oil, you will not find citral anymore. You will find geranium and neural, and they come together always, but at a different ratio. It's very fascinating, actually, that nature always makes them in different ratios, but they always come together. So citral and neural together are geraniol and neural together are citral. Okay, just so you follow what I'm saying. And these two components give us that lemony smell, which is not like lemon. And we can make another video on that. That's very important to distinguish. It's very intense smell. It's lemony smell. You smell it in lemongrass, you have it in lemon myrtle, and you smell it intensely in melissa. And that is what gives it also, if you click on the properties of these ones, they're very anti-inflammatory. They are very great antifungal agents. They are also great for several different active on microbes. So this is what Marva noticed, that they have similar properties, and because citral is such a pungent component, pungent as in smell and dominant, pungent as in its effect on the body and mind. So with citral you also have to be careful because it can be overpowering. It can actually make people nauseous if you have too much of it in the air or in your product. And a lot of these safety recommendations and safety issues also come from citral, from these monoterpene aldehydes. So whenever you see oils that are very rich in citral, and let's review, it's geranium and neural together, you should pay close attention to the dose you are putting in your blend, in your product that goes on skin, because it can and it will irritate the skin. It can have some reactions to hypersensitive skin, damaged skin. So especially if you're formulating for cosmetics, you should be very well aware of this. And when we talk about lemongrass, I have been a part of a committee where we give a certification for cosmetic products. I was introduced to many cosmetic products, and a lot of them use lemongrass, and that is because it has such an intense, pleasant smell, lemony. However, I do not agree with the amount they put in their products, and also if you use this product every day, it might damage your skin. Especially when we talk with lemongrass and, for example, repellent of the mosquitoes, I am not sure if you can use it at a safe dosage, so at a safe percent, that is effective. So just some things to consider as you are my formulating people, and I'm guessing you've been formulating for all of this. So let's come back to melissa versus lemongrass and how that is similar or different. So as you see with melissa also, it's not recommended to use even at 1% on the skin, and that is mostly because of this very dominant citral component. However, it does have this beautiful sesquiterpenes which will soothe the skin, so it's not as intense as lemongrass, like you mentioned. It has these very important components, and that's beta-caryophyllene, that has amazing anti-inflammatory effect. So it does kind of balance out a little bit this very pungent effect of citral, and of course support other great things for you. So I hope this makes sense so far. I will leave open this Melissa. So let's take a look at lemongrass. So for comparison, I will just quickly go over lemongrass because I want to tell you something far more important. And yes, we have different lemongrasses. It's very great that you noticed that. So you typically have these two versions, and this is a different species. So that's one thing to look out for. But here you will find in Dropsmith that this one is very different. And I know because I know Claire personally, and this particular lemongrass was distilled in I think Cuba. Anyway, she had a project where they distilled very local plants, very rare plants, and also she distills in a small copper still. So all of that might have influenced this highly very different chemistry than other oils that are within the same the exact same species and genus. Also, Aroma Vita, I know the distiller as well, and she distills in Ecuador at a very special latitude. So all of her oils have an interesting and a different chemistry as well. So these two are definitely not a typical one you're looking at. So this might confuse you and inspire you to get to know these distillers you're working from and why their oils might differ from the standards. And then by understanding the chemistry, it will tell you how to use them. So looking at a typical lemongrass, so let's take this one. So a typical lemongrass, as you see, is highly dominated in monoterpene aldehydes and particularly in citral, because citronellal is another one which you will find in citronella. So do not confuse those two, they are very different in chemistry. So as you see, it's mostly made out of citral, which directly affects, of course, its amazing anti-inflammatory and also its antimicrobial effect. However, it can be very sensitizing to skin. So you're, as a formulator, I want to emphasize this so many times because, as I said, lemongrass is often used in a lot of formulas because it's cheap, because it has such great properties, but it is not something I recommend to use every day. It can make you nauseous if it's too intense of a smell. It can oxidize quickly and it can damage the skin. So these things need to be looked at. It needs to be used in low concentrations. And one more thing with, as I'm telling you, all my secrets. With lemongrass, a lot of people think it will wake you up, and things that smell a lot of this citrusy smell, sweet lemony smell, but actually it's a sedative. Okay, so the confusion comes because it's such a pungent smell and it refreshes you momentarily. But we do have research, as you see, on the oil itself, it's a sedative, and then on citral as well, being a sedative. So I will not scroll for it. You just take my word for it or go check it out yourself. So it does have sedative properties because of all of these chemical components. And it's something you might not think about, because I get recipes all the time that people put lemongrass to wake up, and it's just not doing that. So looking at lemongrass to use it as a substitute for Melissa is a good start. It's a good start, but as you're learning to formulate, I would like to invite you to take it a step further. So lemongrass is missing quite some benefits from Melissa, and one of them is beta-caryophyllene. So what you have been learning with me is that, okay, great, now that we know that, we can just add it. So a better way to substitute Melissa would be let's put in a blend lemongrass, because it does have a lot of that citral content, but with an oil that has beta-caryophyllene. So you can go to the filter and search for an oil. I already know which one it is, but just so you know how to do it by yourself, and click beta-caryophyllene and find something that has a lot of it. And that, of course, is the very popular at the moment copaiba. So I will put to my blend copaiba as well. And then we are getting closer to Melissa. So do you see how simple it is once this knowledge becomes yours? It's very simple. Okay, it will not be Melissa, but it will be much closer to Melissa. You will be a few steps ahead of your whoever, and give your client, most importantly, the best care possible. So here I will write Melissa, or fake Melissa, let's call it fake Melissa. And this is beautiful. As I'm a visual person, I can right away try and get the ratio I want. So if we look at Melissa oil here, it's kind of like 1/3 of these and 2/3 of this one. So then I can already just visually play with the number of drops before you even do it in the bottle. That's the ecological part. And see, this looks kind of like my Melissa I'm trying to reconstruct. So let's save this blend. So here's my fake Melissa, and let's check it out. So with the hydrocarbons, I am looking at beta-caryophyllene, and it's 23.5%. Let's see here. Well, I actually have more of it. But it looks closer to Melissa than definitely than lemongrass. And if we look at aldehydes, here we have geraniol and neural at around 50%. Here we go. So this was just a quick example of how to do this. I did this in 2 seconds. As you saw, you can get far more specific. You can find oils to give you a little bit more of those aldehyde, of these alcohols you're missing. You know, you can get far more specific in how to reconstruct your particular Melissa you're trying to get. So I hope this is useful for you, how you can take this formulating further. Let me know in the comments. I'm very curious. And keep practicing. It will become a second nature, but you do need to practice. So I'm very happy that you're having these aha moments, that you're using this, and I'm happy to share more. Thank you for your attention. Bye.